All right, welcome cartel members to this special edition episode deluxe American made, whatever you want to call it. Check this out. Now, a lot of you were kind of confused or are kind of confused as to who is really in power. Now, I don't know the exact demographics or analytics as to if you guys are Republican or Democrat or independent or wherever you may, lean in the middle of all that. But some of you think that, and I don't blame you because I think it too, and I also think this as well is possible. That Biden is in control. Now, I want you guys to also understand that there is a possibility that Trump remained in power. Nay, never mind. I mean, he has handed power over to the military. This is what the rumor was and what I've been trying to explain to my mother, among other people, that the United States entered this emergency type deal when all 50 states entered when the United States entered a national emergency and all 50 states had a state of emergency declared. The government was able to kind of hand over all powers to the military, so to speak. So rumor has it that the military is letting us kind of sort through our own shit and figure it out internally, and they're just pretty much protecting us from any threats from abroad. So a lot of these weird things that be happening that go unexplained could be operations that are being covered up. Let's just put it that way. Now, don't want to get too much into specifics, but you guys, if you don't know, I suggest maybe opening up your mind a little bit and accepting the fact that Trump may be still in charge, or the Trump admin via the military. Or, in my opinion, Trump's dead. They got him and he handed over all military power before he died, or all power to the military. So, which would explain a lot considering Ukraine is being invaded, and these war-hungry monsters that are the Democrats that wanted to go to war against Assad over in Syria, and also, they want to go to war against with all these people. Obama was primed to go to war against North Korea. You have, Ukraine being invaded by Russia. These people, obviously, you see how much money they're funneling over there. If they could, they would have sent the military already, and Biden would have approved it, and it would have been just a big old mess. Biden would have never let the United States pull out of the military of Afghanistan, but of course, the military was in charge, and is a final, slap in the Democrats' face that we're trying to. Because what happened is the military only has power of a certain part of the government, right? In a weird way. So the Constitution is still in place, but in a make-believe way, in an imaginary way, and the executive branch and the judicial branch and the legislative branch, I think, maybe not one of them is not active anymore, but maybe they all. I don't know how that works, but pretty much they're active and running, but they're not. It's not the same thing. That's why, to me, if you ask me, you remember how many bills Trump was signing? He was signing shit every other weekend, handing out pens to 30, 40, 50 different people. And now you see, like, well, I think I've seen it maybe once from Biden, maybe a couple times, but those could all just be staged, and the bills that were passed don't really do anything. Like, have you noticed any real policy change? Look at this right here, and we're going to read this right here, and you're going to see that it's just more of Biden continuing with old admin policies, right? Look at the deportations. A lot of you want to think that Trump was trying to deport Mexicans like crazy and trying to do. He surely wasn't. If you look at the statistics, he definitely was not. He was never intending on building the wall. He was using that to get people to vote for him, to do the more humane and better thing, which was close down the border, get more security down there, not necessarily with a wall, and have judges be able to stop the bottleneck that was happening and not allowing people to enter legally through a process that would take less than 20 years, right? So nothing changed back to that, you would assume. So everything is pretty much the same as it was when Trump was running it. But And then it's up for debate if Trump is still alive. A lot of people think that he's still alive, but he stepped down basically and handed over power to, even some people think, General Flynn. So if this is all news to you, don't be alarmed. This isn't stuff that I'm making up. I assure you, everything I say has receipts out there. But let's read this real quick, and we'll continue on this deluxe episode of American Made here. They will lock you down again. This is by Jeffrey A. Tucker, November 14th, 2022. Pub Policy Public Health Society. This is a 5-minute read. Now, we could listen to this article, or I could just read it to you, and I think I'd prefer just to read it to you. So the Lords of Lockdown barely escaped their worst possible fate, namely that the topic would become the national and international source of scandal that it should be. And let's add the vaccine mandates here too. Even if such had been morally justified, which they were not, there is absolutely no practical reason for them at all. To have imposed both of these within the course of 1 year with zero evidence that they achieved anything for public health and vast amounts of unfolding evidence that they ruined life quality of countless millions qualifies as a scandal for the ages. It was in the U.S., but also in nearly every country in the world but a few. Might they have huge political implications? One would suppose so, and yet today it appears that truth and justice are further off than ever. The most passionate of the anti-lockdown governors, those who never locked down or opened earlier than the rest of the country, won on their record. Most of the rest joined the entire political establishment in pretending that all of this is a non-issue. Tragically, this tactic seems to have worked better than it should have. Meanwhile, a few points to consider. The U.S. government, through the Transportation Safety Administration, has signed yet another order extending the ban on unvaccinated international visitors until January 8th, 2023. This means that no person who has managed to refuse the shot is allowed to come to the U.S. for any reason. This is 30% of the world's population banned even to enter the U.S. on their own dime. Something like this would have been inconceivably illiberal 3 years ago and been a source of enormous controversy and outrage. Today, the extension hardly made the news. And they surely would have been like, oh, this is aimed at the Hispanics who are known to be lower income and immigrants of low class and income and blah, blah. This is obviously a racist move to help keep them out. I mean, they were really good at spinning everything and anything that Trump did or said into racist, stuff. So the Biden administration has once again extended the COVID emergency declaration another 90 days, which continues to grant government vast powers without congressional approval under a state of emergency. The constitutional structure of the U.S. is effectively suspended, and the country remains on a wartime footing. This announcement was not controversial, and like the above, it barely made the news. Now, why is that, do you think? Now, I think the reason that the military and all this weird stuff that we see going on is really a trick. I think a lot of people went hiding to their bunkers. They went hiding from Trump and the admin. They knew what was coming. The storm was coming, and they went and bunkered down inside New Zealand, inside all kinds of places in the world, remote and unremote, some in plain view, some decided to try to rough it out here, and these are the mysterious deaths that you see happening all across the country for the past honestly 4 years about now. And I think they got as many as they could under the Trump admin, and if they got Trump and they killed him and it went into the next phase, they had to make it seem like they're trying to draw out people that are in hiding. So they wanted to make it really, really, really believable. Even just like they probably shut down all comms. They probably have everything kind of them all spread out, disarrayed, trapped like the rats they are, separated, splintered off, unable to access each other. And so what's happening is you have the United States military doing this massive operation, probably with Russia, and Ukraine is or was one of the main targets that they were hiding in. And I've covered that extensively in some of my previous videos. But, and if you want more on that, please comment down below. I can link you up with it. It's on my BitChute vid channel as well. But anyway, this isn't about the Ukraine bunkers. This is about uh, them trying to lure out the remaining rats. So they got as many as they could. They even got Obama in a bunker. If you don't believe me, check out my video of when I what I believe is to be Obama's death. Um, you remember when they killed the leader, or no, the founder, very important word, the founder of ISIS. They annihilated him. Remember he blew himself up with two children or something like that in a underground tunnel or bunker or whatever? That was Obama, and he didn't blow himself up. The dog that died with him was McCain. And this is a QAnon throwback, so if you're not aware, go and ignore this part. But the point being is they've been telling us and have maintained that the United States isn't what it was when Trump had it. Now, the documents they try to get from Trump and his house was probably nuclear documents, nuclear codes, or damning information in regards to JFK, the remaining files to be released, and so forth, stuff like that. Really highly sensitive documents that were to be used. Maybe, who knows? These are all theoreticals. These are all rabbit holes that go down different rabbit holes that splinter off from rabbit holes, so it's kind of like, if this is true, would this be true? So obviously, if Trump's dead, how could he still have, I don't know, it's really a sordid tell, and I can't tell you 100% that any of this stuff is accurate or true, and the storyline as it is may be accurate as the one I'm trying to present to you, or the theory I'm trying to present to you. But as you can see here, Brownstone Institute is literally telling you, let me repeat this in case. The Biden administration has once again extended the COVID emergency declaration another 90 days, which continues to grant government vast powers without congressional approval. Under a state of emergency, the constitutional structure of the U.S. is effectively suspended. I repeat, the constitutional structure of the U.S. is effectively suspended, and the country remains on a wartime footing. This announcement was not controversial, and like the above, it barely made the news. Well, not here with the American cartel members. We are always up to date on this kind of stuff. So many colleges and universities and also other schools and public agencies continue to enforce the vaccine mandate even without any solid science behind the approval of the bivalent shots or any rationale behind the push. Given that most people have long ago been exposed and acquired natural immunity, and moreover, it is very well established that the shots do not protect anyone from infection nor stop transmission. They just keep doing this anyway. Masking is not in disrepute because we never really obtained anything like an honest admission of their failure to control the spread. Even today, there is a percentage of people out there permanently traumatized on travels. I'm seeing perhaps 10 to 20%. But in some northeastern cities, regular wearing of masks is also very common. Once they became a symbol of political compliance and virtue, that sealed the deal and the culture was changed. Now we face the threat of mask mandates whenever government deems it necessary because the Transportation Safety Authority has been given the go-ahead by the courts. The end of the vaccine mandates in most areas of life, and hence also the drive for a passport to distinguish between clean and unclean people, is a good sign, but the infrastructure is still in place and becoming more sophisticated. It is hardly a final victory. It might only be a temporary respite while all the ambitions are still extant. More than that, the Biden administration and all that it represents, including the World Economic Forum and the World Health Organization and everything else called the establishment, has its own pandemic plans in place. The idea is not to dial back the mandates or cool it on them. It's the reverse, centralize all pandemic planning to make a South Dakota, Georgia, and Florida experience impossible. The next time also spend tens of billions and more money. The principle seems to have emerged among the agencies, intellectuals, and politicians who did this. Whatever you do, never admit to having made any major mistakes, and never connect the economic, cultural, health, and educational disasters all around us to anything that the government did in 2020 or 2021. That would be nothing but a conspiracy theory. The pandemic racket is so huge at this point that it is even embroiled in the FTX meltdown over the weekend. Sam Bankman-Fried's brother Gabe actually founded a nonprofit solely for the purpose of providing support for the $30 billion that the Biden administration has allocated to pandemic planning. The institution guarding against pandemics is very obviously a honeypot for such funding, complete with on-the-record endorsements from many Democrat Party candidates who won election. Meanwhile, yes, there have been many successful court challenges to many features of the pandemic response, but not enough. The main machinery that took away liberty and property in all its essential property in the name of virus control is still in place in all its essentials. The CDC to this day brags of its awesome quarantine powers that it can deploy at any time government deems it necessary. Nothing about that has changed. In the big picture and rendered in a philosophical sense, humanity seems to have lost its ability to learn from its own errors. Put in more gritty terms, too many people among ruling class interests gained financially and in terms of the lust for power during the pandemic to prompt any serious rethinking and reform. In any case, that rethinking and reform is now put off for another day. Anyone seriously concerned about the future of humanity and the civilizations it built must throw themselves into the long-term battle for truth and reason. That will require that we use every bit of what remains of free speech and what remains of the longing for integrity and accountability in public life. The group we have come to call they want a demoralized population and a silent public square. We cannot allow that to happen. Author Jeffrey A. Tucker, founder and president of the Brownstone Institute, is an economist and author. He has written 10 books, including Liberty or Lockdown, and thousands of articles in the scholarly and popular press. He writes a daily column on economics at the Epoch Times and speaks widely on topics of economics, technology, social philosophy, and culture. Jesus, my tongue and my bottom of my mouth is numb. Yeah, so hopefully you guys enjoyed this quick little episode here. Wanted to share this with you guys as I saw that it was very interesting that it kind of confirms. I mean, I already knew it was in place, but I figured after Biden won, I figured they would just kind of, I don't know what I thought. I mean, again, I only believe in God 100%, as you guys know, if you followed me for a while. So all this other theory is just that theory, you know. Even when you think you really have your foot down on the neck of a theory as a fact, understand that there's some slimy bastards, them facts. You don't know what it is. I promise you, the truth is reserved for God 100%. So with that said, I got to go get my wife from work. I'm going to go ahead and bow out here. But before I do, be sure to hit the subscribe button, guys, if you can. Do me that big favor. Help me grow this backup channel. I'm trying to get it to 2,000 subscribers. Currently, it's at, I think, almost 1,500. So I know it's a big goal, but I feel like we can do it, especially if we retweet or share this on Twitter, you know, tweet it or retweet it or Facebook post it, or simply just comment down below your thoughts, your theories, your concerns. It helps out with the algorithms. And if you want to encourage me and donate to the channel, I would very much so appreciate it. I've had a good run the past couple of weeks as far as donations go. Probably, let's see here. I got one donation for $11.50 or $11.75, I think it was, and then I got one for 100, and then I got one for oh, sorry, my dang cat over here. Yeah, so anyway, if you want to donate, just be sure to check the description box down below. Cash App link down below there. And that's all I really have for you. So again, subscribe, like, share, donate by checking the description box down below. And if you want to get a hold of me, an All American Cartel LLC at gmail.com is the way. And as always, you guys know my routine. To God be the glory.